Hey, what's up, YouTube? How you doing today, man? We're back here with some top 10, this time dark mysteries from America. We're still trying to solve. Now I want to hop into this one, see what they're talking about, see what some of these mysteries or cases are about. I like hearing about unsolved mysteries, or even some crazy things that have happened in the world. So I'm interested to see what's going on here. Let's go ahead and tap into this one and see what's happening.
Maybe it's because we all watched a little too much Scooby-Doo as kids, or maybe it's the universal true crime obsession, but there is something about an unsolved mystery that always seems to fascinate us as much as it scares us. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Kennedy, and today on Most Amazing we are diving into the terrifying black hole of mysteries that were never figured out. So get ready, because this is the top 10 dark mysteries from America we're still trying to solve. Starting us off at number 10 is Bobby Dunbar. The year was 1912 when Bobby Dunbar was a mere 4 years old and disappeared on a family holiday in Louisiana. Considering his age, people were extremely worried, and so hundreds of volunteers began searching for him. Allegedly, people went as far as slicing open the bellies of alligators to check if he had been eaten. Initially, the searches proved fruitless, and it was starting to look more and more like young Bobby was kidnapped, until 8 months later, he was found alive and well in the care of William Walters. At the time, Walters was found guilty for abducting Bobby after his parents claimed it was their missing son. But Walters insisted he had done no such thing and that the boy was his very own son. However, as Walters and his wife could not afford a lawyer, the courts favored the Dunbar family and sentenced the alleged kidnapper to life in prison, although he only served 2 years. Still, for decades it was believed that was all there was to this story, until a DNA test in 2004 proved definitively that the boy who had been found under Walter's care was not Bobby Dunbar, meaning that it very likely really was the son of William Walter, and that Bobby's parents somehow mistook this boy for their own son, or at least knew they were lying about it not being theirs.
Bro, that is a weird freaking case. Huh? Damn. Okay, dude. I actually feel really bad for that dad. You got your son taken away. You were sent to prison for life. Fortunately, he only did 2 years and was able to get out, dude. But damn, how upside down is this story?
And Walter, and that Bobby's parents somehow mistook this boy for their own son, or at least knew they were lying about it not being theirs. But scariest of all, it meant that the young Bobby was never actually found.
Oh man, yeah, the boy was never found. This kid was taken from his dad. His dad had to do 2 years away. Oh man, that's just a jacked up story. What the hell?
And at number 9, JFK. Some might say conspiracy, others might say mystery, but either way, it's a piece of American history that not everyone seems to be able to agree on. Now, to start this off, we all know and can all agree on the fact that the former President John F. Kennedy was killed on November 22nd, 1963.
Yes.
But from there, things get more complicated. It is believed that he was taken out by a man named Lee Harvey Oswald, but before Oswald could stand trial for his alleged involvement, he was killed by nightclub owner Jack Ruby, who then died of lung cancer in 1967. Now, the most widely accepted explanation is that Oswald killed JFK on his own and Ruby killed Oswald on his own. However, there is still a significant number of historians who do not agree with this explanation. In fact, since JFK's death, numerous alternative theories, including government cover-ups, CIA involvement, and the mafia, have been brought forward. All that being said, none of these theories have been proved, but to be fair, if there really was some kind of ultimate cover-up, it's not like that is something that would become public knowledge anyways. So I guess we will never really know for sure.
Okay, so yeah, this is more about the conspiracies that surround the death of JFK. Like she explained, there's pretty much like a cut and dry kind of explanation of what happened, but then there is a lot of surrounding theories because of things JFK was involved in and his family was involved in as well. So I totally understand why those conspiracies even come up, you know what I mean? I mean, when you're doing some dirty stuff on the side, man, and you're messing with some dirty people as the president, by the way.
Moving on to our number 8 spot, the Craigslist Ripper. Also known as the Long Island Killer, this man is thought to be responsible for the death of 17 people between the years of 1996 to 2010, and got his name as he was known to target escorts who advertised their services on Craigslist. But although his crimes began in 1996, none of his victims were found until 2010, many wrapped up in sacks or garbage bags along the Long Island shore. It's speculated that he may have been, or that he is currently, a police officer, as whoever committed these crimes seemed to have an in-depth knowledge of investigation techniques not typically known by just anyone. However, sadly, of the 17 found, only 5 have been able to be properly identified.
Wow, 17 found, only 5 could be identified. This person's still out there, hasn't ever been caught. Kind of like another freaking Jack Ripper. He was targeting the Craigslist Ripper. He was targeting prostitutes online on Craigslist. Jeez, dude. I don't think I've ever heard of this one.
Only 5 have been able to be properly identified due to the nature of how he left the bodies.
So
Over the years, the media has latched onto this story, creating numerous podcasts, TV shows, and even a 2020 Netflix film. But despite its popularity, the killer remains unidentified and out in the world with no known whereabouts.
I gotta check that out. They have a Netflix documentary on this guy, man. I have never heard of this. This is actually crazy. So this was 1996 to the 2000s that this guy did this, and so many victims, all on Craigslist. Like,
coming in at number 7,
crazy.
Cecil Hotel incident. There are several incidents that have taken place at the Cecil Hotel that have culminated into it having a pretty bad reputation, but none more famous than the death of Elisa Lam. Back in January of 2013, Canadian student Elisa Lam checked into the downtown LA hotel on a solo trip. But after her family had not heard from her in a few days, they put out an official missing persons report. Now, here is where it gets creepy. During the investigation by LAPD, a video from the hotel's elevator surveillance system was released. Now, if you've never seen this video, you should watch it. It is so creepy and definitely makes you feel like there is more to the story than we were able to figure out. In it, she's behaving strangely, pressing multiple elevator buttons, moving erratically, and keeps peeking out as if she's being followed. Some have theorized that she was being chased, while others believe that Lam was the victim of one of the infamous ghosts of the Cecil Hotel. But whatever the case, she was tragically found floating in a water tank on top of the Cecil more than 2 weeks after she went missing. Officially, the police ruled her death an accidental drowning, as no evidence of foul play or trauma was found on her body. But what happened in that elevator and how she actually gained access to the water tank and ended up inside it has remained a subject of major speculation and confusion.
Guys, let me know. I hope some of y'all have heard of this case, man. I remember hearing a little bit about this and seeing that elevator footage. This was years ago that I ever saw this. I completely forgot about it. Do you guys know anything about that case? Like, or have any theories about what happened? Because, yeah, she was acting really erratic, almost like she was on drugs, man. But clearly, I don't know. I just feel like that wasn't drugs, man. Do you think she was being hunted down by somebody in the hotel, met up with the wrong person or something? To have actual footage of her and to be in this hotel that I don't know how populated it was at the time, but for there to not be any leads, don't you have other cameras throughout the building, right? I mean, isn't that typical? And then you're found floating in a water tank up on the roof of this hotel. That's crazy, actually crazy.
Coming in at number 6, the Black Dahlia. Regarded as one of the most infamous unsolved homicides in American history, the mystery of the Black Dahlia has to be one of the most gruesome stories I have ever read about. Back in 1947, a woman named Elizabeth Short was a bright-eyed 22-year-old aspiring actress who moved from Boston to the bright lights of LA to pursue a dream. But sadly, she never got to see herself on the big screen. On January 15th, 1947, a woman named Betsy Bersinger was out for a walk around 10 a.m. with her daughter when she saw what she believed was a discarded mannequin. But after she went to go and take a closer look, she realized it was a corpse and rushed to a nearby house and telephoned the police. Elizabeth's body was found mutilated beyond recognition. She was fully bisected at the waist, ghostly pale from being drained of her blood, covered in slash marks.
Bisected at the waist. And look at, dude, she is beat up, man. Holy cow. She is beat up.
Fully bisected at the waist, ghostly pale from being drained of her blood, covered in slash marks all over her face, and disgustingly posed by her killer. The case received significant media attention, partly due to the nature of the horrors surrounding the crime and the gruesome conditions of the victim's body. But despite extensive investigations and numerous leads, the killer was never identified, and the case of the Black Dahlia has never been solved. Next up at number 5, the Cleveland torso killer.
I think that's what's crazier to me than just like your serial killer that gets caught or whatever. It's that it's the killers that get away with their crimes and they're never found. They're never found, and they end up dying without anybody ever knowing the truth. How do you go on living the rest of your life knowing that you've done something like that and like it not eating at your conscience and you not confessing to somebody, right? Because that's usually what happens. They end up having this conscience that is just being ripped apart by what they've done, that they confess to somebody that they trust, or they confess in like they're just ego, right? Their ego got to them and they're so proud about what they did and they confess to somebody and that person reports them. But some of these people live with that secret, they die with that secret, and nobody ever knew or knows that they were the one that did it. That's crazy.
Another one of the terrifying killers who was never brought to justice was the Cleveland torso killer. Starting in the 1930s, horrifying crime sites began scattering across the city, each as bone-chilling as the last. Whoever this monster was had a sick mind, and each victim was always found the same, decapitated. Plus, most of them were also largely dismembered too. During the investigation, the convict enjoyed taunting the detective on his case, once leaving the bloody remains of 2 victims in full view of his office at City Hall, and at other times would provoke him by sending gruesome postcards. This horrific case was investigated extensively.
So what's a gruesome postcard? I mean, is this it? What? To slap hap me cord. The better half legal will up on you. The better half legal exaction will up on you one day. I don't know. Okay, so I mean, really just taunting messages and stuff, huh?
Numerous suspects were interviewed and even arrested, but in the end, none of them were charged with the crimes. Now, as this monster was never identified, it's not ever been completely confirmed just how many people they mangled. However, the number is thought to be anywhere from 12 to 40. And of the 12 they were able to assure were the work of the torso killer, only 3 were able to be correctly identified due to the absolute wreckage the killer put the victims through. Wow. Now, had this happened now with forensic technology, we might have seen some more justice, but unfortunately, it remains one of the most notorious unsolved mysteries in the United States.
That's crazy, dude. I mean, when you're talking about dismemberment, that's a different type of crazy to me, because, you know, somebody being able to kill somebody else, that's already heavy. But when you take it beyond that and you start chopping and dicing people up, bro, like that's just a different level of absolutely badass crazy to me.
At number 4, the case of Timothy Pittman. In May of 2011, after being dropped off at school by his father, 6-year-old Timothy was taken out of school early by his mother Amy, who spontaneously took him on a 3-day road trip to visit amusement and water parks across Illinois and Wisconsin. But when Amy was found dead in a motel room on May 14, 2011, and her son was nowhere to be found, the story became a nationwide concern. The most terrifying part of the story is that when she was found in the motel room, where she sadly took her own life, the only piece of information she left behind was a note that read, "Timothy is safe, but that he would never be found." Authorities immediately jumped into action to try and find the missing boy, and even had reason to suspect foul play after finding blood that matched the missing Timothy inside his mother's car. However, a family member revealed that the stains were likely caused by a nosebleed Timothy had suffered in the car earlier that month. Tragically, no matter what they did, they were never able to track down the missing boy, and so the note his mother left behind has remained chillingly true.
Yeah, no, dude, that sounds like murder to me. You spontaneously go to school, pick up your son, take him for the 3 days, maybe the best 3 days of his life, right? You're taking him to amusement parks, all these crazy things that he hasn't ever seen and probably wanted to experience. And then you're found dead with a note just saying, hey, you want to find him and he's safe. Self-inflicted gunshot wound. blood in the car. Now I know a relative's trying to say, hey, that blood was from this. I don't know if I buy it. Maybe trying to save face, like, hey, she's not a killer. She's not a killer. I don't know, man. I suspect definitely some foul play there. What do you guys think? If it wasn't foul play, definitely could have been some kind of murder with some human trafficking involved, something terrible. But either way, bad on bad on bad on that one, dude.
His mother left behind has remained chillingly true. Coming in at number 3, Nicholas Barclay. 13-year-old Nicholas Barclay was a troubled teenager from Texas who was scheduled for a court hearing on June 14, 1994 that would have determined whether or not he was heading off to juvie. But the night before the hearing, he suddenly disappeared. Initially, his family assumed he had run away to avoid the court hearing, but after a few days went by, they feared something terrible had happened. But here is where it gets crazy. Fast forward 3 years later, and a young man claiming to be Nicholas Barclay was found in Spain by local authorities, claiming that he had been kidnapped and held captive for years. To be sure they found the right guy, Nicholas's sister, Carrie, set off to Spain and confirmed the identity of the man to be her missing brother. So with that, he returned back to the United States and reunited with his family. However, doubts soon emerged about his true identity. Some family members and friends noticed discrepancies in his appearance, his behavior, and knowledge of his life before the disappearance. But the immediate family insisted nothing was afoot and allegedly told police to close the case. But one detective wasn't convinced and eventually got the imposter to admit his real name was Frederick Bourdin and that he was a fugitive on the run from Interpol. As it turns out, he had quite a sordid past falsifying identities, and Nicholas Barclay is believed to be one of 40 people he posed as. In the end, Bourdin was sent to prison for 6 years, but sadly, the real Nicholas was never found.
Dude, so I wonder how extensive this guy's act went. Did the family let him live in the house and sleep in the house, dude? Because I talk about it on this channel a lot when I do these reactions, but man, there are some traumatic things that you end up finding about people and cases in this world, and that is one, dude, that destroys your trust for the rest of your life. But how are you just gonna blindly accept that? The sister went and confirmed, yes, this is my brother. I mean, dude, I don't know. Some people kind of create their own hell, so to speak, man, because do you not ask the right questions? Clearly this person's been gone for a long time. They could have went through some trauma that made them forget. I know there's a case happening in Houston right now where something very similar happened. They went missing, they're found, and they don't remember who they are. They don't even know what age they actually are. Some bad things happen. But then DNA test, like, I'm sorry, man. You gotta check, you gotta go through all the checks and balances, right? You gotta make sure this is who they say they are, especially your relative's been gone forever. You maybe assume that they've been dead. Like, you want to be sure this is who they say they are.
Coming in at number 2, the Zodiac. Possibly the most famous unknown killer to date, this criminal was as scary as it gets. Active in California during the late 60s and early 70s, the Zodiac killer seemed to get off on the chase, sending in letters and highly encrypted clues to the police that supposedly would reveal his identity and more if only the puzzles could be deciphered. Not only would he send cards to police, but he was known to mail in his taunting clues to local newspapers, threatening awful consequences if they were not printed. There are 7 known victims that he is known to be responsible for, although he claims to have killed 37. The especially creepy part about this particular monster is that, as is detailed in his letters, he believed that all those whose life he ended would become his slaves in the afterlife, and that he would be sent to paradise. Although the Zodiac ceased all written communication by 1974, the case has remained open since 1969 with no known perpetrator. And last
damn, that's another one. It's really crazy when they taunt the police, and that's the second one we've heard on this reaction so far, that they taunt the police, man. They're calling you, they're waving their achievements in front of your face, man, saying, come and get me, like, you're not gonna find me, I'm gonna be okay. And then they're not ever found, they're okay. Damn, how frustrating that must feel, like, as a detective. But really, these people know what they're doing. I mean, sometimes I see why they say, hey, these people probably were involved in law enforcement at some time, because they know what law enforcement struggles with. But nowadays, with the internet, it becomes even that much more dangerous and that much more difficult, I think, to track down somebody, because they could find ways to get around it.
Up in our number 1 spot is Natalia Grace. In 2010, Christine Barnett and her husband Michael adopted a 6-year-old Ukrainian-born girl named Natalia Grace. Or at least that was what her adoption paperwork said. Over time, the couple claimed that Natalia's behavior and physical appearance were inconsistent with her stated age, and they started to believe that she was actually an adult posing as a child. Further, they claimed Natalia was some kind of monster who threatened to hurt or kill them and was caught trying to pour bleach into their morning coffee on more than one occasion. Now, on Natalia's side of things, she has never once swayed on who she claims to be. Yet somehow they actually managed to legally change Natalia's age in 2012 to 22, but that's not all. After they had legally declared her an adult, they set her up in an apartment in Indiana, paid for the year's worth of rent, but then left her high and dry so that they could move up to Canada. However, by the time 2019 rolled around,
you don't want nothing to do with this person who's a grown-up imitating a child, got adopted by you, and is trying to kill you on a daily basis. I mean, they were nice enough to pay a year's worth of her bills and say, good luck, man. I would have had that monster out of my house so quick. I'm not fully judging this story. I'm just saying if that's the truth about this story, then to me that's a monster, and I want them away from me as quick as possible, dude.
So that they could move up to Canada. However, by the time 2019 rolled around, it only got messier. The couple, now divorced, was charged with neglect of a dependent, with the charges alleging they had abandoned an 11-year-old. But even after years of investigating, a documentary, and now an upcoming series, no one is actually able to decipher how old this person is and who is the lying party. Well, that's all I got for you today, my friends. I hope you had
Can your teeth not help identify how old you were? I mean, when they find bodies and stuff like that, don't they usually use teeth to kind of get some of that information? I thought, let me know. I thought there were definitely ways to find out how old somebody roughly is. I don't know. Let me know, man. So, damn, that girl is still out there. She's still alive today and is sticking to her story. Shit, man, that's rough one. All right, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that one, man. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see me react to. I definitely would appreciate that. And if y'all like this one, man, please leave me that like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it very much. It helps the video get out there to more people who can watch and recommend as well. So thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, peace.